Hello and welcome to Brodual. Today we have some mods that will hopefully boost your magical immersion. Outside of adding entirely new spells to the game or installing a magical overhaul, we thought what small collection of mods could you install to change how spells behave, feel and look in the world of Skyrim. So today we have around 6 mods that do just that. Before that, if you're looking to maybe get yourself a new game, you should check out Swagbooks. Swagbooks is an app that lets you earn free gift cards or even just straight up cash, simply by watching videos, answering surveys or even playing games. To treat yourself today, you can get a $5 sign up bonus using the link down below, so thanks to Swagbooks for sponsoring this video. Jumping back into the mods, we're going to start with one of our all-time favourite magic mods, Frozen Electrocuted Combustion. This is a mod that applies new visuals to NPCs and the player when they're killed by a variety of magical effects. Whether they're being burnt to a crisp or having their life literally drained out of them, the new visual effects will show off your magical ability in exciting new ways. For example, targets killed by fire have the chance to self-immolate, and either combust into skeletons or become a charred version of their former selves, leaving nothing but a cloud of smoke behind. Whereas targets killed by frost will potentially have their body frozen where it stands, or it could even shatter them into a dozen ice shards. As of the latest update, the mod also features a new covered in ice effect too, which looks great. And finally, for the last of destruction, enemies killed by shock damage will spasm on the ground and become charred. So the mod offers a variety of different effects for the 3 main elements, but it doesn't stop there. One of my favourites is the new fear effect. Enemies killed while under fear become pale and their hair turns white with shock, which looks fantastic. Another good one is when an enemy dies from drain or becoming soul trapped. When that happens, their body becomes desiccated and drained of life. Targets dying of poison now show signs of becoming sick just before they fall to the ground, and enemies killed by sun damage burn into nothing but a pile of ash. The most recent update also added an effect that only affects the player. If you die during a dragon attack, the dragon will absorb the player's soul. All of the new effects are entirely optional and customizable in the mod menu, but that new one in particular is turned off by default, since there's some debate over the lore of whether the Dragonborn's soul will actually be absorbed. Altogether, the mod works seamlessly and adds some much needed magical excitement to the battlefield. In my opinion, this is how magical kill moves should have been handled all along. There's nothing quite like seeing the burning, scorched remains of your enemies after a firestorm. Even if you aren't playing a mage, this is definitely one you'll want to consider. For something completely different, there's the FIZZLE mod. Put simply, FIZZLE adds the ability for spells to fail. Depending on the caster's own magical ability, as well as the spell they're trying to cast, there's a chance that the spell will simply fail while casting it, wasting your magicka and producing nothing as a result. This affects both the player and NPCs, which is great since it makes those novice necromancers truly feel like novices. It also adds some extra spontaneity when fighting mages. You could think you're about to be blasted back to oblivion, but their spell suddenly fails and you return with a deadly blow. Once again, the mod is customizable, so you can adjust how often the spells fail. So if you increase the odds, it can act as an interesting way to nerf magic as a whole. Going back to the more visual side of things, we also recommend the Spells Emit Light mod. As its name suggests, the mod makes the players and NPCs spells emit light. Whether they're being held in your hand or fired off into the distance, they'll light up the surrounding area. Despite its name, the mod doesn't just affect spells. Other magical sources such as enchantments and atronachs will also emit their own light. Interestingly, the colour and power of the light will depend on the source. So where a storm atronach will emit a powerful light with a purple hue, a tiny dagger of embers will emit a noticeably weaker orange light. This of course is also completely customizable in the mod menu, letting you adjust the power and colour of lights from a variety of sources. So be sure to tweak things so it's right for your EMB and other lighting mods. With all of the spells you'll now be firing, you'll want to improve some of the lackluster textures from vanilla. First, we recommend the extremely popular Deadly Spell Impacts mod. Not only does this drastically improve on the vanilla textures for spell impacts, but it also offers a ton of extra variety. Lightning and spit impacts will now have their own textures, instead of sharing the impacts from other sources. On top of that, the mod offers more variety in the size of the impact depending on the source. So a smaller missile spell will produce a smaller, more focused impact point. Whereas if it's a huge dragon blasting down on the ground, the impact will be much more impressive. The mod even offers different impact visuals if your spells hit snow rather than a harder surface. With the level of details in the textures and with the improved variety, this mod is not only great visually, but also for immersion. In terms of textures for the spells themselves, you have a bunch of options to choose from. For our fire, we use the Ultimate HD Fire Effects mod. We've covered this a few times in the past, and we like it because it makes fire from all sources seem more crisp and defined. With the new burning bodies from the first mod, you'll definitely want to consider some new fire textures. For our shock spells, we've been using Electrify. Once again, this offers higher quality textures, but on top of that it also goes for a sharper, more electrifying aesthetic. The thinner, more defined sparks make it seem more chaotic and out of your control, which looks great when using spells like Chain Lightning. From here you can go in a few directions. If you haven't already, you might want to look into an audio overhaul that offers new sounds for spells. It might not do much for immersion, but it can be a simple way to keep things fresh. And if that's what you're aiming for, you'll probably also want to check out the First-Person Magic Animations mod. This offers a selection of new animations for magic casting, making your character appear more tense and focused when casting magic in first person. We particularly like its new Master Spell animation, which makes your character slam both hands down to cast it. So if you're interested in that, we'll include our spotlight for it down below, where you'll also find links for all of today's mods. And as always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mod you enjoy, and thanks for watching.